You also have the option to format slides. So you'll notice right now I have highlighted slide number 2. If you want to make changes to that slide itself, with that slide highlighted, go to your paintbrush and you'll see slide layout. So I can change the background color of this slide. So let's say that I want it to be green. I can put a title on this slide very easily. I can put a body section of text very easily. And I can also put a slide number very easily. So if you are thinking, okay, I have an image on there, I want to add text, but I don't necessarily want to have to use a text box and shape it and move it, you can highlight the slide, go to your paintbrush, and add a title, and it will put in the title box for you, so you don't have to drop in the text box and then try to deal with that. The other thing you'll see here is the option called Master. If you have used Keynote a lot and you would like to create master slides, which we would consider to be templates for you to use or your students to use, this is where you would go in and begin to choose and change the master. We are not going to get into that right now, but if it is something you're interested in, you can go through and create masters so that you have templates that you have designed and created to use anytime that you would like. That's how you can do basic formatting of the slide itself without changing the content on the slide. The other thing that you can do is add transitions. So if we are looking at transitions, there are two types. There's a transition between a slide and another slide, and then there are builds between objects on the slide. So for instance, if I want to transition from slide 2 to 3, I would highlight slide 2, then I would tap it a second time, and you will see out to the right I can transition. So if I choose transition, I will choose OK, and now I have several options. You have your standard, which are your effects. So if I do drop, that means it will drop onto the screen, and I can play and see what that would look like. So my transition for this is going to drop in the next slide. If you want to change some of the options as to how fast it takes, how long it takes, if it happens when you tap the screen, if it happens automatically, if it delays, all of these options are here, and they're on the right side of effects. The other thing you have is what is called Magic Move. Whenever you do this, it will take content from one slide to the next, and it will transition it in a nicer way, sometimes a little fancier. So if you want to do a magic move, what you will do is highlight the slide, choose Magic Move, and it's going to say, do you want to duplicate this slide? Because what you will do is make a duplicate of the slide and then manipulate the second one to look like you want. So I'm going to say yes, I want to make a duplicate of that slide. Now I have a duplicate, and you'll see there is a star on the picture because that means there is some sort of build or transition with it. So I'm going to highlight this picture, I'm going to move where it is and resize it. I'm then going to say done because I am now done changing that slide. And now when I go to this slide and I present and I go to my next slide, you'll see that it moved it down to the corner. Now let's say that you want to add some text to that. You cannot add more information to the slide while you're in the transition mode. So what you need to do is after you've built your transition and you know that it's there, on this slide I can now add some text. So I'm going to go here. Let's say that I just want to add this shape and I want to put a little bit of text into it. I'll just say test. Now whenever I present and I'm on this slide and I go to the next one, you'll see that that also shows up. So that takes us into the other option, which are called builds. Remember, if you want to go from one slide to another, that's a transition. If you want to have objects come in and do things, that is a build. So I'm going to choose this box, and you'll see animate. When I choose animate, I can have a build in and a build out. What that means, the build in is how the object or text enters the slide, and then the build out obviously is how it leaves the slide. If you don't want it to leave the slide, you do not do anything with build out. When I choose build in, I do not see a magic move. So if you're thinking about, okay, well, I want to do a magic move with this actual object, since there's a magic move going on, the magic move happens between slides, does not happen with the object. The object just does what you tell it to. So if I wanted this to just simply appear, I would choose appear. I have several options as to how fast, how long it takes, when it happens. So I'll do it when it starts the build. You can choose that. You can choose after. So I'm going to also look at delivery. So you can look at text by paragraph, by group, and then you can look at the order. Right now I only have one object that is build, so it is coming in and it will be the only one. But let's say you had 3 squares on here. So I'm going to add 2 more squares to this slide so that you can see how you can change the order, because this is going to be important once your students or you begin to advance in your builds and your transitions. Let's say you put 3 photos in, but you want them to be in a specific order, and you didn't quite do that when you first started. Well, I'm going to animate this one. I'm going to do a build in, and you'll see order shows up. So I'm going to add an effect of blast. So now my order, I have this one coming in second, but maybe I want this one first. So I can click and drag it. Now I can push play, and it is going to show me how they will actually come into the screen. Remember, when you're done, you push done. That way you can go back and continue to manipulate. If not, it will only do the things you can do within the transition and animation section. So if you see this blue bar at the top, remember you are in the animation style transitions, those things that you are working on. When you push done, you go back to your standard modifications. So that's how you can format a slide. That's how you can add a transition and a build for an object. And I would encourage you to take some time and figure out how this works and what it looks like. Because if you do the entire presentation from the beginning and you push play, you'll see that I go from this slide, it does the magic move, and then my objects will begin to appear as well. So practicing that, going through it, seeing what it looks like is important as you build and go through the process.